Why? Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order as Tyumen. In the last video, finally integrated the EuroLeague, and we started working on some army stuff. We also helped push the Colony Soviet a little closer towards the finish line to actually get some stuff going on. Next, let's go ahead and do the Legacy of the Aviators. Perhaps even more traumatic than the fascist invasions were the bombing campaigns the German invaders inflicted on the survivors for years after the war. No settlement has not been attacked by these iron vultures, and no family within our borders have not lost a member to the fascist bombs. However, if we build up a powerful air force and strong anti-air defense in our cities, we will never have to fear a bombing campaign like that of the fascists again. At last, the workers and peasants of Siberia may sleep safely, knowing that the Marxist-Leninist-Stalinist aviators will protect the skies above them. That's a mouthful every time I have to say it. Marxist-Leninist-Stalinist. Ooh, look at that. This is all coming together. Excellent. Cameroon collapses. Uh-oh. Well, I don't know if it necessarily matters who wins over here. It'll be interesting to pay attention to, however. Air Marshal Roman Ivanov sat at his desk, two lists sitting before him, columns and rows extending endlessly, filled with names and professional typeface, no doubt created by some beady-eyed freak in the security department. He sighed, rubbing his eyes. The problem seemed so daunting, so large, and yet at its core, when reduced to its simplest components, it was actually quite simple. The Free Aviators are not only socialist, but practical apolitical body that did its best, over the course of 20 years, to protect the people of Russia from German bombers who plagued their broken, battered country, had been swallowed by the military peacefully enough. They'd accepted their rule as a better alternative to the anarchy that harmed Russia, but the problem wasn't their competence, which no self-respecting man or woman could deny. Rather, it was a question of politics. Roman received word from higher up that Konvik and his lackeys didn't like a lot of the aviators. Not enough to purge them, no, they were too popular for that, but just enough to prevent them from gaining any real power or influence in the nascent Air Force. And so he created a conundrum. Should he promote names on the left list, a less competent, more politically safe option figures, or the right list? The aviators. Consequences be damned. Choices. After several hours, he decided the aviators. Improve healthcare networks. Let's do agriculture mechanization. That'll improve the poverty rate. We're over $3 billion in debt. Let's actually rush down this to decrease our interest rates. Returning to the world. Thus far, most of our foreign efforts have been focused on the reunification of Russia, but the time has come to seek international recognition on the world stage. Though the world beyond our borders is filled with capitalists and reactionaries of all stripes, we must come up with a concrete foreign policy that balances both upholding MLS ideology and the realities that we face. The process of choosing a final path will be long and arduous. And not everyone will be satisfied with the compromises we must make. It is imperative that we now choose. War is hell, indeed. gonna help. Domino falls. Well, we're getting a bit of a deficit now, but the growth is coming along okay. I'm probably okay with this. Damn. Spectres haunting Russia. The German Luftwaffe cannot eradicate it. Holy lines of fascists, reactionaries, and capitals cannot exercise it. It cannot be undone by men or of flesh nor machines of steel. The spectre has begun to look far beyond our artificial borders. It trawls upon the dark continent of Europe, baiting German police spies and SS officers. It lives among rice fields, where indigenous workers slave for Japanese corporations. It crawls through Africa, inspiring dreams of a free continent. It flies above South America, jungles, and watches for potential imperialism. It hides in the union halls and factories of North America, subverting the greatest fortress of capital. The spectre is haunting the world, and the world is terrified indeed. Our state is but a wisp of the spectre, acting as a single soldier in a global class war. Its role cannot be overstated, however. As an example to the international proletariat of real working socialism, it falls to us to reach out to like-minded movements, oppose reactionaries who threaten the revolution, and bring the world closer to communism. Workers of the world, unite. But how exactly will we do that? Let's get a peaceful coexistence going. There will come a time when the workers of the world, led by the true party of Lenin, will rise against their bourgeois oppressors. Armed with MLS ideology and with history on their side, the fury of the proletariat will obliterate the capitalist system that held them in chains. That day is not today. Indeed, we are the only MLS state on Earth, and very few nations are communist, much less those whom ideological purists are willing to work with. Although it's not the most politically correct option, working with capitalist states would be able to quickly make short work of the biggest threats, such as the fascists of Germany and Japan. The revolution can always be fermented at a later date, after all. Yeah, we're not televising the revolution yet, but we're working towards it. So I'll go to the expo. Oh, this is the OAS, right? The OAS. Oh, weren't those guys who tried to overthrow the government after the Algerian crisis? I think that's correct. Let's do a nod to the West. Historically, the capitalist nations of the Soviet Union had rocky relations. The October Revolution was viewed with utmost suspicion by Britain, France, and the U.S., who intervened on behalf of reactionary forces. Now that fascism is ascendant, the U.S. stands alone as the only surviving liberal great power. The situation is very different. Although many of our differences are irreconcilable, the consequences of the rule of differing class interests, there is one thing we can agree upon. Fascism is and remains the greatest enemy of all mankind, and we must put our differences aside to smash it. Consequently, we will promptly reopen diplomatic relations with the OFN and embark upon the task of building an anti-fascist coalition. Decrease on inflation, I think, will actually help with our deficit. MFP. Interesting. Paternalist, but Africa breathes. Look at that. Going on to the west, how does that affect things? Interest rates go down very slightly. Not that much, actually. That was a nice thought. Let's do some southern cooperation. Communication lines have been established. Russian and Kazakh communist governments have now built ties for the first time since the West Russian War. Our activities can't stop at merely contacting the Kazakh SSR, however. Both of our territories have been severely damaged by years of war and economic strain. As communists, we must have solidarity, and as the more powerful polity, the West Siberian People's Republic has a responsibility to aid their partner. Trade, economic assistance, and transfers of military supplies between West Siberia and the Kazakh SSR will commence shortly, strengthening our two republics and the bond between them. We only hope that their future political situation will allow the Kazakh SSR and Russia to reunify sooner rather than later. We will see, won't we? Our poverty rate is looking pretty nice compared to where it started off at. And it's all coming together. I read that there was a Saarland front at first, and I was confused. But Saarland front, that probably makes more sense. Hold on. Nah, you guys had your chance earlier. There we go. Just crossed 12 billion GDP, I'm guessing? Yeah. Look at that. Canadian Centennial. Would you look at that as well? Let's congratulate compatible governments. Another time, the World Socialist Bloc would be great enough in size that we could oppose and ruthlessly criticize every capitalist government on Earth. In ours, the socialist movement is still small and vulnerable, drafted in all areas by the fascist behemoth. We need to build ties with not only communist parties, but any government that has proven itself receptive to anti-fascism and left-wing principles. Non-Marxist socialist left-wing parties of bourgeois democracies and other potential, though imperfect, allies of the struggle for the workers and against fascism deserve our praise. The spirit of building a broad popular front against reactionary tyranny. The time for ideological purity will come after the beliefs of Hitler and Mussolini are gone for good. Is Pearson still in? I thought Pearson wasn't gonna be PM after a while. Might be confused there. I'm trying to remember what the leak said. I don't remember the state for the Canadian content. I remember the social credit tree. That's about it. It's contact remaining SSRs. The calamity that overtook the Soviet Union following the Nazi invasion did not restrict itself to Russia proper. Central Asian SSRs were beset with internal instability, as well as the Iranian and Afghan invasion, with the Kazakh SSR in particular splintering into warlord states. Many of those about that. It's not really splintered anymore. Many of those communist governments still exist, although in diminished forms, and our Central Asian comrades deserve to be supported in their struggle. While we've been distracted by our own wars for some time, the situation is stabilized enough to begin contacting aligned governments outside of our own border. From here on out, our government will seek to open lines of communication with Central Asia, building a foundation of what should be prosperous and mutually beneficial future relations. Ethiopia more, huh? Jamaica declares independence. Interesting. I know there's an option early on, because you can do that conflict earlier. I wonder if that's hard-coded, that if you push it off for later, it does that. It'd be interesting if true. Support Central Asia. Central Asia is shattered. Not all the new states therein are aligned with socialist values. The Kazakh territories are rife with reactionary warlordism, with some governments abandoning socialism completely. The Soviet systems to establish itself within Central Asia. Let's build our ties with those states still compatible with our values and build the balance of power within their favor. There are still several surviving SSRs which should have stayed true to communist ideals that we should seek to ally and support, as we are still too weak to make a play for the annexation of Central Asia. Expanding our geopolitical influence we'll have to do in the meanwhile. Civil War. Interesting that these two aren't at war with each other at the start. Germans haven't stepped in either yet as well. Ah, there they go. There goes the Comintern. Bypass that. Let's revisit Tank Corps. Since the defeat of revisionist Bukharinites in the 1940s, the mechanized troops that fight in their wake have been equipped with vehicles little better than tractors, leftover American Lend-Lease vehicles, and even building a few prototype space terminals in the Army archives. Let's adopt the new powerful infantry fighting vehicles, design of the nations beyond the Russian frontier that can both protect its troops from any possible harm and deal out large numbers of damage. This new IFV shall be Russian and socialist in character, which will not only do what the others not only do it, but what? It should be produced cheaply by any team of proletariats with the right equipment, can drive for many leagues on the rugged Russian terrain, while conserving energy, and take any damage and still keep fighting like a true son of the motherland. Hold on. One more time. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Our growth is doing quite well now, actually. My God. Some kind of worker organizations. I don't want to do anything. Poverty relief programs. Is our credit rating improved already? Would you look at that? We are at level B credit. Beautiful. That's going to help a lot on our interest, I'm guessing. There we go. And the Komi Soviet is so fucking behind that it hasn't even finished its thing yet. Now let's do the Siberian Air Fleet. Creation of Siberian Air Force is underway, but thus far they are relying on antiquated aircraft from the anti-fascist war and airfields with decades obsolete infrastructure and locations no longer of strategic importance. To truly rule the skies over Russia, we must expand and develop what infrastructure and equipment we already have, ordering construction workers to build new airfields with up-to-date equipment, while existing factories can be reordered to build warplanes and machinery to manufacture them. It may take some time, but in due course, the Siberian Air Fleet shall become a wonder of not only Russia, but of the world. Monarchy in Laos. Trinidad declares independence. Which one of you then is? It's these guys, right? Yeah. Well, that sucks for the U.S. But the people will not be held down. Oh! It's a spear observer. Confederate cities of New Granada. That seems very, very cyberpunkian. And looks like the Liberal Party. John Turner. Would you look at that? Oh, damn. I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave things there. Communists have survived in the West. West of Russia, at least. Whether or not it can get its shit together over here is to be determined yet. But we'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching, gang. Like if you liked, dislike if you didn't, leaving comments, feedback down in the comment section below. Check my various links down in the description box below. I'm sure you all know the deal by now. Thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye now.